Hey guys, it's Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time around we started Inferno. What was that about?
Well, here's what's really weird. It started out as a very classic, almost a repeat of the Silurians. We got a drilling operation trying to tap into the Earth's core. Things go wrong. First two episodes we're going, okay, we've seen this before. And then it went into literally another dimension. Either an alternate universe or something. The Doctor has been trying to fix the TARDIS console and instead transports himself into a parallel world where everything is happening pretty much the same as it's happening in his world, except that instead of the British monarchy, there is the British Republic, and things are almost like the fascists have taken over, and it's very, very strange. But that really caught our attention and went, wait a minute, where the heck did this come from?
Yes. Instead of the Brigadier, we have the Brigade Leader, without a mustache and with an eye patch and a scar. So, of course, we were also transported to the Mirror Universe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is weird.
Yes, we were transported to the Mirror Universe, so we know it was a bit strange last episode for us to be on the wrong sides of the table. So we've decided to correct that today, and now we are on the correct sides of the table again.
Okay.
So, this is in no way weird, and it's in no way just wrong for my left and right. No, not at all. This is my left and this is my right, I think. I don't remember. I think in this, if to slightly break character, in this world that we are currently in, it will look exactly the same as it appears on the camera right now. So, technically, we do look correct. We're on the correct sides of the screen. So,
but the background behind us, we couldn't switch.
No, there was only so much we could do, so... but, you know, the table and everything is normal. I've got the TARDIS and the cup, and you've got the tower of sonic screwdrivers and stuff. It's possible, also last episode, that the Doctor used his sonic screwdriver. It could have also been a garage door opener, we're not sure. Either way, we have this one out now.
Yes.
So yeah, this is where we are now, in the Mirror Universe. Yes, it does feel wrong.
Because now I'm having to turn this side, but now I'm looking... So, I guess I should, for continuity's sake... Hang on a second. Now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just so wrong.
It is. And see, normally, the way I have it is I align my notes up with the monitor where we are. But that lines up with the camera. And the actual episode we're going to be watching is over here. So I'm going to be more like this throughout this episode. And it's going to be very, very strange. So,
okay.
And of course, I'm sure the Doctor will get back to his universe. At which point, the image in this video is going to flip and we're just going to be on the wrong sides of the table again. Okay. So, this is just where we are for this episode. Next week, by the way, because we're finishing up Season 7 here today, next week we're going to be starting Season 8, which means a rewatch of Terror of the Autons.
Oh, yeah. First appearance of the Master, too, right? Yes. Yes, it is.
At least completely canonically. I'm sure you could retcon other stuff previously to be the Master. But the first true appearance of the Master. Yeah. And because it's going to be a rewatch, we've also decided that we're going to be watching a 12th Doctor episode as well. So that same day, about probably an hour after that video goes up, we will be posting the video for the 12th Doctor episode Mummy on the Orient Express from Season 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So
mixing old... It wasn't a Hammers film, I don't imagine, but the really old-time mummy stuff with Agatha Christie.
Yes. Yes, basically. So, we'll be watching that along with Terror of the Autons, and then in Season 9, when we get back around to rewatching Curse of Peladon, we'll also be watching a 13th Doctor episode. So, stick around for those two. But yeah, you got anything else?
Got nothing.
Then... let's just go ahead and get right into the last 3 episodes of Inferno. Here we go.
I hope I can see the monitor from here.
I hope you can too.
Okay,
Let's go.
here we go.
Well,
You can't use your left hand.
nope. No, I can't.
Got to use your right hand.
Got it.
'Cause
Got to
when
use
you
the
use
right
your left hand, you have a tendency to want to click the left.
Yeah, with the left index finger, but that's not correct. Alrighty, part 5. I don't know how you sit over here.
It's actually much easier. Again, I'm closer to the screen, and with my eyes, it's always better to be closer.
This was a great idea all around.
Now, this is still somewhat weird because we haven't yet seen any volcanic explosions in the actual episode.
Right. They only mentioned that the place, they nickname it the Inferno. But maybe, like, because there's some sort of big thing that's about to happen, so maybe that's part of it.
Ooh,
Ah,
there it goes.
Inferno. It's an Inferno of Nickelodeon slime. Oh no, the stick.
Use that old Venusian Aikido.
Come on, man.
Oh, nice.
I guess you can get stunt people in there, can't you?
Yeah.
The main coolant valve seized. I can't flood the drill head area.
We've got to get the director out.
Yes, not to mention those technicians. Right, let's have another
Not
go.
to mention a duck.
I told you not to mention the duck.
Oh, what the heck's going on?
You expect us to believe that you came here in this?
That's right.
This isn't a vehicle at all.
No.
There's normally a lot more around it.
No, I couldn't possibly do that.
Why not?
It would create a dimensional paradox. It would shatter the space-time continuum of all universes.
Oh, jeez.
If you can save yourself, you can save us.
I guess that's why there's only one doctor in each universe. Or, you know.
No, don't come near him. Don't come near him.
He needs help.
Oof. That's a lot of hair. For a man that didn't have much. Okay, these are the weirdest part, I think. So much hair. This is what happens to me before I shave.
Look, will somebody tell me what's going on?
Oh, hey. Finally, we're back. Which means we're on the wrong sides again.
Orders, sir.
From whom?
Professor Stallman, wasn't it? Yes, sir.
How
Was
does
I
he
ever
give you
supposed
orders?
To get back from the ministry? All right. If you can break all records getting back to the complex, I might just forget about all this.
Thank you, sir. I'll be very grateful.
So you should. Put your foot down.
Just trying to make his way in the
Sir,
world.
I'd like you to know that I objected to the orders.
Keep your eyes on the road! Look out!
Well, that was his own fault.
It's the weirdest story I've ever heard. I'm
Nuh.
prepared to believe
But
it.
you have heard of it.
Gone out to the...
I do have a plan for getting us out. But it all depends on those creatures out there.
Well, they're not going to crawl through that little hole.
Nope. Alrighty.
Like that old joke. How do you get a werewolf through a hole that size? Put him in a blender first.
Nuh. You know, one other thing I thought about us being on these sides is, well, it looks like we're on the correct side now that we're here in the mirror universe.
Yes.
We're looking in the wrong direction than we normally do, because we normally look over to this side.
Yes.
Either way. So
Well, we could watch it on this screen over here.
I thought about it, but I'd have to like reposition the camera so
Yeah.
that I could see it. So
Yeah, never mind.
it's all right. There's only so far we can go with this bit. So, all right. Now, what was the name of the guy that went to talk to the ministry?
Sir Keith, wasn't it?
Sir Keith. That was it. Okay. I was thinking it was Sir James. I was like, no, that was the guy from the Ambassadors of Death.
Yeah.
All right. Alrighty. Well, that's part 5.
Well, essentially advances the plot, and I mean everything was in it that needed to be in it. But again, we haven't really gone from square 4 to square 6 yet. That I mean, it was absolutely necessary to get the story to where it is now.
Yeah.
But not a whole lot happened.
Yeah. That is always strange. Like, I'll have that sometimes when I watch an episode, and it's like, wow, this really big thing happened. But it's the only real thing that happened that episode, and I can't really talk about it otherwise. So it ends up being a weird short discussion for that video. But anyway, I mean, there was some good stuff. The only, like, okay, so this whole thing is creating this inferno, which will eventually destroy the Earth. Great job. Good job, scientists. And now we have the goal of getting the Doctor back to Earth 1. I never realized how squeaky the table is over here.
That's why I don't lean on it very much.
Ah, I see. And I always lean on the table, so... but anyway, so we have the whole thing of trying to get the Doctor back to Earth 1, basically.
Yeah.
It's interesting he mentions the paradox, that's the reason he can't bring any of them back. Which, I mean, I could see maybe if he brings back the brigade leader and then the brigadier shoots him or something. But yeah, I mean, the paradox, I guess I don't fully understand that, but maybe I'm thinking of, there are stories in the future with Doctor Who where they do have, like, two of the same person in the same universe, and it seems fine then, so I don't know.
Well, I think the idea here is kind of almost like a matter-antimatter, that you cannot have two objects occupying the same space at the same time, because the paradox is if they were to touch accidentally, that might create something even faster than the Inferno.
Yeah, I suppose that's entirely possible.
And theoretically speaking, for example, if he could bring the brigade leader to Earth 1, but send the brigadier to Earth 2, that would solve the paradox, because they would never meet in transit. But there's nobody here in this Earth 2 that's really worth saving, other than Sutton, but Sutton's already a good guy back on Earth 1.
Yeah, so it's also...
Unless, now, that being said, Petra, Dr. Williams, in Earth 1, is doing everything that Stallman is telling her to do, whereas Petra in Earth 2 has now come to the realization that Stallman is wrong, so maybe if those two were switched, she could then convince everybody on Earth 1 that it was going to blow up.
The only thing is, I can't see the Doctor condemning anyone to this world, you know? Except the people that are originally from this world. That's the thing. Like, I can't see him switching them out. Of course, we've also said, like, oh, well, the Doctor doesn't kill, and then he just goes and, like, blows up a spaceship or something. Yeah. So maybe the Doctor's morals are a bit more gray than we would like to think. But yeah, I can't really see them switching it out like that, per se.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, it could be, because the other thing I'm thinking is, I'm also thinking of, like, multiverse rules from, like, The Flash and stuff, where I think on The Flash, they explain it like, technically every universe exists in the exact same spot. They just vibrate at different frequencies, so all these infinite Earths never meet. So perhaps it could be something like that, where it's like, well, if these two people, they are vibrating at the same frequency in the same universe, that could sort of create the paradox. Of course, we don't know how the rules work in this one in 1970 compared to 2014.
Very limited knowledge of that sort of thing. Now, I will say this. Later on, you will probably remember when we watched Star Trek Voyager. At one point, there were two Voyagers that were created, and then like 3 or 4 seasons later, they met up again, and one of the Voyagers was falling apart, and everybody was about to die, and they actually had to switch like 2 characters from the alternate Voyager to the real Voyager, because those 2 characters were dying off anyway, and they didn't want them to die off, so they switched them. Don't know if you remember that or not.
Not particularly, but it sounds like a Voyager plot. So yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure where we're going to be going with this one.
Well, we have 2 episodes to figure it out.
Yeah. So I'll just reach my arm over here, and we'll move on to part 6.
I'm still somewhat fascinated by the idea of 7 episodes. You know, that's just so unusual.
Well,
You know, I can understand 4, 6, 8, but 7 seems a little odd.
well.
Well, there are other fire extinguishers in central control.
If we can get to them.
There's one right there on the wall.
Right now!
There's literally one right next to him. And right there. And there. And there's another.
Get to the next one.
There's like 3 of them in there. Oh.
We must get right away from here.
Wait for them.
Man, that filter, though. Ah.
That's absurd. There must
So
be
good to
some
see that
place people don't
mustache.
just vanish.
Well, that's just it, sir. Professor Starman won't come. He says he's too busy to...
Too busy to what, Sergeant?
He says he's too busy to waste time bandying words with a pompous military idiot, sir.
His words, not mine.
Sir, if he...
A chance to use your initiative, Sergeant!
Sir!
Carry him here if you have to, but get him!
Sir!
Well, I've been asking round, and nobody actually saw him go.
Eh?
Well, that banger he uses is not exactly inconspicuous, and he didn't say goodbye to it.
You didn't have
This guy
very much
reminds me a
time.
little bit of the
Left in
Ninth
rather a
Doctor.
hurry.
He doesn't have the
There's
accent,
nothing
but I
here
mean, he's
now.
got
What are
the
you still hanging around for?
same kind of mannerisms.
Suppose
Yeah.
I'm half hoping he'll suddenly come back.
The evening, he should have been back here by last night.
An accident, perhaps.
There's been no report of any accident on any possible route from here to London.
Well, then I imagine he's had his complaints dismissed and has taken himself off in a fit of pique. It doesn't matter. We shall do very well without him.
Are they implying that Stallman had him killed?
He isn't available.
When that drill penetrates the Earth's crust, you'll see that my theories were correct.
I keep looking at the right edge of the screen when they have that filter because it doesn't go all the way.
Now, this would be one time when wearing all that heavy makeup and costumes would be beneficial because we keep hearing that this was being filmed over the winter, so it would be pretty chilly.
Well,
So that's a contraption, is it?
The console, Mr. Sutton, the console.
Well, I thought it'd be a bit more impressive than that.
What do you expect? Some kind of space rocket with Batman at the controls?
what a
This
reference.
brought you all the way here, did it?
A good fall.
Well timed.
And again.
You got an assistant director off stage waving to them.
What do you do now? Slap my wrist?
I don't need a gun to finish you.
Oh, good job, Sutton.
Listen to that!
You want to end your lives fighting like animals?
So apparently we got the good Lethbridge Stewart.
Main switch from
You're gonna take us with you, Doctor.
Can't, it's impossible.
You don't have
I
bullets.
advise you to try. You're not gonna leave us here.
You think I want to? I'd give anything to save you all.
It's not loaded!
Or
Go, brigade leader.
oh no, all the archive footage people.
Go on, Doctor, go now!
I can't, it's still too erratic.
And off the power cord.
Oh, geez, they changed the color too. Changed the color of the ending. That's crazy. Okay. And that is part 6. Another one of those, like, boy, I feel like a lot happened. Technically, not a lot happened, but
Well,
it was a
again-
necessary episode.
Again, this one is all action. It furthers the plot, but
Yeah.
we kind of knew where it was going.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, I mean, that's fascinating. It's a well done story. The incorporation of the special effects and everything are very good. So
Yeah.
not much to do except, let's wind it up. Let's go back and figure out how to stop our world from blowing up.
Yeah. So. Shortest in between talk ever. Let's move on to part 7.
So the Batman reference. Didn't Pertwee's son appear in Gotham?
Yes, Sean Pertwee played Alfred.
Alfred, yeah.
Yeah. Also, you notice the camera moves, but that lava didn't move with the camera. Did he just get back off screen?
He's ordered a further acceleration, 3.6%.
But he can't do that.
Afraid he can.
We're pushing the safety limits now.
Yes, I know.
I'm going to have a word with him.
Well, good luck with that.
Greg!
Professor! Professor!
You need a rest.
You don't want to discuss the matter any further. Please carry out my instructions at once.
I thought you were supposed to soften him up.
He just wasn't listening.
You know, if I ever just, like, look off into the middle distance,
Yes, I saw him.
just knock me out and put me somewhere.
1,000-yard stare.
Yeah.
Heart's beating steadily.
Which one?
Both of them?
Eh.
Number 2 output pipe. What did he say? Very dangerous. Very dangerous. Number 2, output pipe blown.
How on earth did he know?
What?
The emergency flange on number 2 output pipe has blown. It's just this minute happened. How are you, Doctor?
Fine, Brigadier. You know, you really do look better with that moustache.
Delirious, poor chap.
Mm.
Well, the pulse seems to be more or less normal. 170.
Mm.
Sir Keith.
My dear
Hey.
fellow, so you've come back to us after all.
So you're not dead.
I shall have to lay very serious charges against Professor Stallman. He ordered my chauffeur to delay my return.
So not everything runs parallel.
He's been ill, you said?
Yes, a coma.
Mm.
Yes, of course.
After
of course.
vanishing into thin air.
Infinity of universes. Ergo, an infinite number of choices. So free will is not an illusion after all. The pattern can be changed.
Good to know.
Professor, the Minister would like you to report to him immediately,
Oh, he
please.
would he?
There's to be an inquiry into this project, and if I may say so, into your conduct.
You can make as many inquiries as you like, my dear Gold, after we've penetrated the Earth's crust.
This man is infuriating to watch.
So he's being controlled by the goo, but they've never actually explained that.
Yeah, I've been waiting on that. What is the goo?
Cracked up.
Happened to be a fire extinguisher.
Mm. This is the most fire extinguishers I've ever seen in one show.
It wasn't hanging on a particular place, it was just hanging there on the railing.
Well,
Professor Stallman! Keith!
I hope he was paid a lot to do that.
What's going on in there?
Stop this drilling and start filling up that shaft.
The data from the computer isn't conclusive, Doctor, nor is Stallman's behavior. We have no proof of an emergency situation.
Well, you're about to get proof. That chair did nothing.
Final countdown commences now.
Static shot of people standing around.
Stand by.
Not the best idea.
Mm.
Countdown on drilling stopped at minus 35 seconds.
It was not the most dramatic way of filming that, but that's alright.
Something like a nice happy ending, is there?
Well, goodbye, Doctor.
Goodbye, Sir Keith.
Goodbye, Miss Shaw.
Bye-bye, Sir Keith.
Still, shouldn't that be Dr. Shaw?
Goodbye, Brigadier.
Nah,
Oh, there's quite a lot of mopping up to do. I
it should be
around
Dr.
quite a while,
Williams,
yes?
too, in this universe.
Oh, pity. Goodbye, Liz. I shall miss you, my dear. But I've had about all I can stand of this pompous, self-opinionated idiot here.
That was instant.
Welcome back.
Where did you go?
A few seconds forward in time, and a few hundred yards due east in space.
The rubbish tip?
The rubbish tip.
Dear.
Brigadier, my dear fella. That I could borrow.
Pompous, self-opinionated idiot, I believe you said, Doctor?
Yes, well, we don't want to bear a grudge for a few hasty words, do we? No, not after all the years that we've worked together. Come along, my dear fella. Put on a smile.
Great job, Doc.
Finally a happy ending.
Yay. All right. Well, that is season 7.
Rather short.
Yes, it was. I feel like we just started this season. Which, I mean, so 4 episodes. 3 of them we had to do for 2 weeks, so that was 7 weeks we spent on season 7. The interesting thing, I don't think Liz is in the next episode.
I don't think so either. I think someone in the comments said that she only stuck around for this one season.
Yeah, well, I seem to remember that Terror of the Autons introduces Joe. And then it made me stop and think, oh, so I guess that means Liz only sticks around for 1 season? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then throughout this entire episode, it's like, there is no lead up to her leaving or not, so I guess that's just it for Liz. Kind of sad.
Yeah.
I did like Liz.
Yeah.
But. Alright. That is. Let's just put down.
Well, again, this is certainly not a criticism. The last 3 episodes were full of action. In both worlds, Professor Stallman. I mean, seriously, I don't think anybody, even who had worked a lifetime, would have been allowed to get away with a behavior like that. I think somebody would have come in and said, I'm sorry, but you are being medically relieved of your command. Because, and the other thing, the huge clue, the fact that he was wearing the gloves and his hands seemed to be swollen, and nobody said, hey, wait a minute, is there anything wrong with your hands? I mean, in episode either 3 or 4, I think somebody said, have him take off his glove or something like that. But it was so obvious that there was something wrong with him. He wasn't just, being, an opinionated, self-serving jerk or whatever, that they could have brought in a medical doctor and have him relieved, even if it's only temporarily.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing about the entire overarch of the story that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Is that his behavior was beyond the pale of professionalism.
Yes. Because, we've had this sort of character before. The first one that really comes to mind is Fury from the Deep, because he was insufferable as well. Yeah. But at the same time, it's weird to say he was a bit more reasonable in that one, Robson. But I get he kind of was. But at the same time, Stallman, I guess to Stallman's credit, part of it is he's being influenced by the goo.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Much like Fury from the Deep. We don't know what this thing was. It just was.
Sentient seaweed.
Yeah. I suppose since both of these stories are about drilling, they're probably it's the same thing that we keep finding under the earth that we'll never explain. The Doctor isn't like, oh, wait a second, that was weird. But I don't know why. I guess in that story there were, while yes, he was insufferable, there were times where he was like, okay, fine, go do this thing. I don't like it, but I'll give you this one thing, and then, we'll go back to doing it my way. Yeah. Whereas Stallman never did that.
No.
And then, in that story, Robson gets taken out of the story about halfway through, I think, because he gets, completely possessed by the seaweed.
No.
So.
And no explanation in this one of the goo. And nobody made the connection between the technician who got into the goo and Stallman who got into the goo, because the goo was still there at the end.
Yeah. So, and I guess the whole thing is that... So I guess they're flooding the control room with coolant. So I guess in theory that is the Doctor dealing with the goo, because that'll kill it because it's so cold. But he just, I don't know, it's just weird. He never addresses it either, So it's just a whole strange thing. It's a good story, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also one of those things I've heard. I don't know what the latest episode we released was. It must have been the first part of Ambassadors of Death.
Yeah.
So, but I saw some people say that they were excited for Inferno coming up, and I think there was some people that said like it was one of their favorite Pertwee stories. And every time that comes up in the comments, I always just sort of take it with a grain of salt. Probably not my favorite of this season, but still a really good story.
Yeah.
So, it got some problems,
Yeah,
I think.
I didn't think any of them were stinkers.
Yeah.
I think for sure creepiness, the Auton story was pretty good. The whole factory creating the grizzly dolls and then later the Autons.
Oh gosh, I forgot that's how we started.
Yeah. But this the whole season I have enjoyed it. I got into Pertwee's character immediately.
Yeah.
Because the script got into it immediately.
Yeah.
So and again, I don't have any major problems with this episode other than, again, Stallman would have been taken out by either medical or psychiatric evaluation.
Yeah.
And they never did tie up what was the goo.
Yeah, it just... Well, and especially, too, because it's like, okay, this goo is influencing him, and it's really... It's basically growing his need to make sure this project works. So, I understand that. Why did they become werewolves? That's that might be my bigger question, I guess. Like, okay, this thing, it's influencing him, and it's, it's just changing his emotions and just increasing his stubbornness and trying to go. But why were they werewolves? That's kind of what I want to know.
It seems to me, and I thought this probably last week, to have some sort of melty, gooey stuff instead. Now, the werewolves, obviously, that's going to be something that, the kids and teenagers could have identified with.
Yeah.
But there was nothing in the story anywhere which led us to believe that this goo from the interior of the earth was going to turn people into werewolves.
Yeah, so it's just a very strange thing.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe the other problem with Stallman is that this is our, fourth character of this kind, because we had Robson, and while he was insufferable, he kind of does work for that story, and he's a good foil to the Doctor. But then we also had, was it Clint, I think, in the Ice Warriors? And he was, I think he was the best example of this sort of character, because yes, he was stubborn, but it wasn't, just insufferable, really. He made sense, honestly. He doesn't trust the experts, he puts all his faith in the computers, and he doesn't really put much trust into human thought. That makes a good contrast with him and the Second Doctor, and then the expert that he had on staff. So that all worked. And then I think the only other one was in The Wheel in Space, Jarvis, I think was his name, where he just couldn't handle emergencies and then just completely just lost his mind and just... That one was just bad. That was just stupid. I didn't understand that at all. So Stallman, I guess Stallman's at least better than that. You can kind of understand it, but it's just infuriating. It's the exact same thing.
There's a difference between being single-minded and being, again, he was rude to his subordinates.
Yeah.
He was breaking protocols.
Yeah.
He was doing things that, again, I mean, this is obviously before, occupational health and safety guidelines, but still, when he ramped up the drilling by 12% and he was already over the safety standards, going another 3%, somebody would have come in and shut him down. Just said, you can't do that. I mean, we understand that you want to get this project finished because you've been working on it a long time, but still, there are certain safety protocols we have to follow.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that... Well, and it's also a thing of... A weird thing I noticed is that he has a lot of power, but no one else has the power I feel like they should. Sir Keith is here, but he can't really do anything because it's Stallman's project. And Sutton is here, okay, he's just an advisor, so I kind of understand that. But the Brigadier is here. He is the military. I feel like no matter what project you're on, if the military is here, they kind of have final say on things. So that was very strange. It's like, you would think at any point the Brigadier could shut this down, or at least, relieve Stallman of his duties and put Dr. Williams in charge.
Yeah.
Because that's direct, line of succession there, and she's probably been doing this almost as long as he has.
Yeah.
So that is strange. But then the opposite side of that Stallman, okay, I don't understand this whatsoever. Stallman ordered Sir Keith's chauffeur to delay him from getting to the ministry in London, and that worked. Why does this scientist on this project have power over the driver who, this... Does that make any sense?
Well, the driver said, he's obviously just a working class guy, and he said, he was going to fire me. He was going to sack me if I didn't do this. Wasn't intended to hurt Sir Keith, just to delay him. So he said, and when Sir Keith said, well, I'll fix that, don't worry about it, then he said, okay, sir, I'll take you back, or whatever he was there.
So, and the car accident, that was a complete, random thing that happened.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is, this chauffeur must be the normal chauffeur for Sir Keith. But Sir Keith, I guess I just figure Sir Keith is not actually, he's the, the ministry's, representative at this project. So that would mean if he works for the ministry, then the chauffeur would work for the ministry, and this random scientist in charge of this one thing shouldn't have any power over this guy.
All right, but we're nitpicking.
It's an incredible nitpick.
Yes. But yes, for us, that was a distraction. So
yes,
anyway, let's
okay,
because we've talked for 5-6 minutes now on that.
You probably We're also back in the normal universe, which means we're on the opposite side of the table again. So yeah, this has been very awkward to try to get used to. So, luckily next week we'll be back in our normal spots. It was all just for the bit. If they ever go to the mirror universe, we're not doing this again. So, it was only this one-time thing. Let's see. Well, it definitely, we had an Inferno, at the very least.
Yes.
Yeah, so it took a little bit, but it's like, oh, okay, so this whole drilling will create this Inferno and pretty much destroy the Earth. A bit similar to Underwater Menace, where this guy, this one scientist, he's just losing it, and he is going to destroy the Earth. But I guess, in fairness, in the Underwater Menace, it would have actually completely destroyed the planet. Whereas this, they said it would just superheat the planet back to where it was millions of years ago. Silurians would love it.
Yeah.
But it's the ideal conditions for the goo. Whatever it was.
Whatever the goo is.
Yeah, we don't know. I guess we don't care. So, and I know we'll get a comment that says, you don't need to know what the goo is about. I'm a little curious. You can't just say that the Nickelodeon slime is evil and not tell me why it's evil. Anyway. Let's see. Alright, so they mentioned the paradox. They never went through with bringing the others into this universe. So apparently he physically can't, because it just would not work. They wouldn't be able to make it through in transit, I guess. I was thinking, though, that it could have been just that the TARDIS only has enough power to take the Doctor and nothing else. Now, granted, the TARDIS, it's just the TARDIS console. It's him and also the car, because that was very necessary for the TARDIS console to bring too. So yeah, but they don't go that route, that it's just, oh, well, the TARDIS would never have enough power to keep all of you on there. But instead they go for the paradox, which again, I don't fully understand, but I am thinking of future episodes of Doctor Who where they'll have two of the same character. They'll have the doppelgangers in the same universe, and no one cares. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there's something about it. Maybe it's specifically because of the TARDIS. I don't know.
Now, there's a humorous solution to this problem: is have all of them get into the car and just sit there and wait for the car to be transported.
Yeah, I did think about that. So,
but again, that's silliness.
Yeah, it would be interesting if the brigade leader snuck in and he is fine and he comes back later in another episode. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm pretty sure they're all just dead. So, we had the beasts, the werewolves,
the blue werewolves.
Blue werewolves, yes. It was good makeup.
Yeah,
it was definitely good makeup, but I don't get it. It's just sort of weird. Like, okay, you're right. If they had done some sort of like melty face sort of thing because it's so hot, I would have understood that. Well, why do they grow fur? It's already hot. Why do you don't need fur to keep warm?
Yeah.
So that was weird. Let's see. Again, the whole thing with Sir Keith and Patterson. It is a minor nitpick that I will vocalize loudly. But yeah, it's nothing major. They did definitely make it seem though that Stallman somehow ordered a crash, like for there to be an accident, but I guess that was just a random thing.
Yeah.
So it just worked out in his favor, basically, kept him away.
Now, I thought that they were going to make something out of the fact when Stallman heard that Sir Keith was missing, he said something like, "Oh, there's been a crash, has there?" And then they could have gone, "We didn't say that there was a crash, sir. We just said that he was gone missing."
Yeah.
So, I mean, there could have been just a little one or two lines about somebody beginning to suspect that Stallman wasn't, completely right in the head.
Yeah. So, let's see. They were using the fire extinguishers. There were a lot of fire extinguishers, yet they really only used one at a time. Like, everyone could have had a fire extinguisher. There were like 8 in that room.
And again, the only time that bothered me was when he was up on top of the tank, and instead of having one, hooked to the tank where you would expect one to be, it was just randomly hanging on the rail.
Yeah, there's a strange place for it, definitely, but I don't know why, like, that scene also almost doesn't serve a purpose. Like, he goes up there, and then he uses the fire extinguisher on the guy, and then he just goes back down and goes back to the control room anyway.
I thought perhaps he was going to hose down the guy, and then somehow take him back to the drilling site and say, "This is what is happening to Stallman."
Yeah. So
again, that just seems a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Let's see. Also with Stallman, I did like that moment where he's trying to bring Stallman in, and Benton just isn't able to do it, and so the Brigadier just chews him out for it. I did like that. That was a good moment. But yeah, and then eventually just having to drag him in, and yeah, it's just infuriating just watching Stallman, and it's also infuriating because this is one of those times where he's the same in both universes. He was exactly the same in the other universe, just minus the goatee.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. There was nothing different about this guy. Which, I mean, in fairness, I guess there was nothing different about Sutton either. But
and I was kind of expecting somewhere along the line for Sutton simply to realize nobody's listening to me, not even Petra, and I'm just going to have to do this on my own. One of those people who says, I'm going to have to sacrifice whatever future I have to at least have a future.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, and in both, I guess in both versions, in both universes, he did end up staying. But that was also a bit strange I guess on Earth 1, whereas like, no, I'm serious, I'm just gonna leave, and Petra's like, oh, but I enjoy your company. It's like, well, I guess it's like, you just said you're betting on this place blowing up. Get out of there. Don't just stay for her or anything, or even her. It's like, well, yes, I understand, whatever, there's something between them and stuff, but it's like, yeah, but if he is dead set on this place exploding, let him go. Let him get out of here,
Well, again, as a scriptwriter, I would have fixed that by simply having either her or him say something like, I don't want you to go because, I love you or whatever. Yeah, just something there to acknowledge the fact that one of them or both of them acknowledge to each other that there is a reason for him not to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they do sort of tap dance around it with the whole, I enjoy your company and stuff. And it's like, well, that's not enough. This place is going to blow, So, let's see. And then on Earth 2, we also had Sutton versus the Brigade Leader. We talk about Stallman and Sutton not being any different between universes. Lethbridge Stewart, though, is very different. He is not a good fighter in that one. To be beaten up by Sutton, of all people.
But Sutton is an oil field worker, and these guys are pretty strong, and the Brigadier the Brigade Leader having risen to the point where he hasn't had to do that because he has, underlings to do that for him.
Yeah.
And again, where did he get the extra bullets? I mean, I'm sure he carries those in his pocket, but he didn't say anything. All he did was fire off a shot and say, I reloaded. 2 words.
Yeah, well, and also, too, when they say, oh, he doesn't have any bullets, and he's like, I reloaded, and it's like, well, you wasted one. You gonna waste another before you... Yeah. How many rounds you got in there? So, let's see. And then we did have the Doomsday of Earth 2. Where did they get the footage of the people that were just like dying in an inferno? I don't know. Where did they get that footage? Did they film extras or?
It could be. It could have been something from any World War II film about the Blitz.
You just put a red filter over it.
Yeah. Because any kind of crumbling structures and people running. That would have been simple enough to find. I'm sure the BBC Archives has a lot of footage like that.
Yeah. I am still curious, because they also reference the dictator in this one. Presumably that guy in the picture. I am very curious now if that is someone at the BBC, and that was just an inside joke. So...
because, again, he doesn't look like any specific politician that I remember from that time period.
Unless he was supposed to be Stallman, but he didn't. But he had facial hair, I think.
Yeah.
So
no, it wasn't Stallman. It was somebody completely different.
Yeah. So, it does bring up the question, and it brings up the question in both universes of why did the Brigadier or even the Brigade Leader bring this with him for this temporary office in this place? Because he did that. The Brigadier did that as well, where he brought his old army pictures and he put a nail in the wall and hung it up. It's like, how long are you planning on being here? Like a few days, maybe? So, it's hilarious watching UNIT make themselves at home in these different places.
Yeah.
So
now, I was really kind of surprised when they used the word dictator, because if this is a republic, I mean, I could understand them saying leader or something like that, but to come out right out and say dictator. Now, I understand, like in ancient Rome, the dictator was somebody who was essentially given the job of saving the Roman Republic, but then was to step down. But yeah, that was, to me, when they said dictator, I went, no, that shouldn't be the word.
Yeah, I guess it could also be because it was Sutton saying that, I think. So it could be that it could be that, well, most people will say he's the leader, but then you get the people who are like, yeah, we know exactly who this guy is. He's a dictator. Well, he even said, I think at one point, it's like, ready to join the rebels and shut this place down and get out of here. So maybe there was a small rebellion, and as soon as things were about to explode, Sutton switched sides, I guess. I don't know. That's the thing. I would like to see more of this world with, the RSF and everything. I want to see how this world functions, what is if there is a rebellion, how the Doctor would fit into that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the Doctor goes in and accidentally takes it down or something.
Yeah.
But, nope.
And how does that fit into the rest of the world? Is there still a United States? Is there the Soviet Union and France and all the rest of these places? Or is this just the United Kingdom?
Well, I mean, maybe this is also a world where the British Empire never dissolved, so maybe it's still going. Let's see. We had the Doctor in a coma for a little bit, which was interesting. I mean, it was also strange that there was just no transition to him being back in this world.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I'm going to edit that when the time comes, because you haven't seen the last episode reaction yet because of how we filmed these. So to sort of break the fourth wall on this episode, whenever they would switch to one of the other universes, I took the footage and I just spun it around 1,000 times in 5 seconds. So with that, it was just a straight just cut over. So I don't know how I'm going to do that for this episode. We'll have to see.
Don't give me vertigo.
I think I did at the end of that video. You know, I do the end screen, and sometimes there's a message there. I completely reversed the end screen as well because we were still in the mirror universe, and I even put the text backwards of, is anyone motion sick yet? So I put a lot of thought into something that no one's going to care about, which might as well just be the motto of this channel. So anyway, so Doctor was in a coma, but did get the information to reverse all systems. And then, yeah, just going through, he did eventually wake up, though, and went in. They shut down the power and everything. It's like the Ghostbusters when Walter Peck comes in. Shut this down. Shut this whole place down. So, I also like how they say, it's like, oh, well, we can't just shut this place down. We have no definitive proof of, you know, any explosion or Stallman's condition. Door immediately opens and he just walks out a werewolf, like, okay, never mind, let's just go.
Never mind.
Yeah, so that was funny. And then, yeah, they shut the whole place down in not the most dramatically shot thing we've ever had.
Yeah.
You know, just cuts to people, they're just sort of standing there, and then the Doctor and Sutton just walk out.
Right after I made that comment, I did notice that a lot of the technicians in the background were scrambling, but everybody in the foreground was just standing and just waiting, and that just seemed a little too static.
Yeah, and like the camera wasn't shaking or anything. But then, yeah, just, you know, the Doctor and Sutton they just walk out, and it's like, there's just nothing pomp or circumstance about it. They just walk out, and the computer's like, the thing was aborted at 35 seconds. They don't even get it down to the wire. Like, if this was like 2 seconds, then that could have been something, you know?
007.
Yeah, so. And then the last thing I wrote down was rubbish tip, which is where the Doctor ended up when he tried to storm out of there. Which, that was a good, funny ending there of him telling off the Brigadier and then immediately just being sent not the place he needed to go. So that was really funny. I like that.
Yeah.
And then him sidestepping an apology and just sort of moving on. That was good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the end of season 7. I mean, I feel like we spent so long on Troughton seasons. Like, those were a lot. I mean, I guess I don't remember how many episodes or how many serials were in season 6. I think it was 7. I think it was 7 serials, and then that last one took us 3 weeks to get through because it was 10 parts.
Yeah.
But this one was only 4, and because 3 of them were 7 parts long, we had to double those up. But other than that, we really have powered through this first season of Pertwee.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. And yeah, no real lead-in to our next episode, which once again is our rewatch of Terror of the Autons. And the only reason I say there's no lead-in is because Liz is just going to be gone, I guess. I hope they at least reference that, like, well, she found something better or something.
Now, we probably wouldn't have noticed that the first time we watched Terror of the Autons because we had no idea who Liz was.
Yeah, we didn't know. So yeah, but and I do believe Terror of the Autons is only 4 episodes.
Yes, I recall correctly. It was just a
yeah. I think we've got a couple 4-parters. Okay, let's get this over here now. The bit's over, so I can move that over. So let me check. Okay, if I can. Zoom it in. Yes. Okay, so Terror of the Autons is 4. And we'll bundle in Mummy on the Orient Express for that one. Alright. Then we have a 6-parter, a 4-parter, a 6-parter, a 5-parter, a 4-parter, and a 4-parter. Okay, so I guess that was the last of the 7-parters. So, right when you mention 7-parters being a weird number, they get rid of them. So, yeah. So, anyway. But, yeah. And then it'll be... Well, it's at least 5 serials in Season 8, so that's a step in the right direction,
Well,
I guess.
if they're going basically for a 6-month thing, then, we're looking at basically 26 episodes overall, or somewhere around that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So it's just how they divide that up between each story, yeah. Which is why this last one in Season 8 is 5 parts, I guess. So... It just worked out that this one was 4777, like some bizarro haiku or something. Anyway, that's basically it. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, next week we will be back to our normal spots, and everything will be flipped back over. And yeah, next time we are rewatching Terror of the Autons. And we will also be doing, that same day, we will be doing Mummy on the Orient Express for the 12th Doctor. So yeah, that, got any expectations for the 12th Doctor?
I've heard so much about his accent that I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, he's definitely, it's not like a David Tennant who has to not use his Scottish accent. He is definitely Scottish. So...
but I also enjoyed it when Eccleston came on. Remember, one of the very first things I said was, wow, he's from Oop North.
Yeah, definitely. Which I've said they referenced that in his first episode. It's like, why do you sound like you're from the North? And he's like, well, lots of planets have a North. So, yeah. I guess the 12th Doctor is from Space Scotland. So, the Scottish part of Gallifrey. So, but yeah, we'll be back for those two next week. And I guess that's pretty much it. So, with all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time for 2 episodes on the correct side of the table. See you guys then. Alright. Now let's never do that again.
You need to leave that in.
Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of our Doctor Who classic reactions, there is a playlist on screen, as well as another playlist for all of the modern Doctor Who reactions that I've done in the past 3 years of my life. There's also a subscribe button, I guess on that side actually, and a Patreon button over here, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.